Too many people today falsely use the Second Amendment as a weapon against keeping our children and all of us safe from guns. The usual argument by gun rights advocates is to treat the words as scripture, a sacred right given to us by the framers that cannot be taken away. That's wrong for so many reasons. Let's start by challenging the idea that the sole purpose of the amendment was to preserve us from potential tyranny. Recent scholarship suggests that the amendment had a lot more to do with, guess what, preserving the rights of slave owners than some lofty principle of freedom. Here's the history. It's 1788, and James Madison, one of the primary drafters of the Constitution, is in heated arguments and negotiations over trying to get the Constitution ratified, by Virginia in particular. He's arguing with George Mason, a prominent anti-federalist Virginian, and Patrick Henry, Virginia governor and great orator. You know, the guy who came up with the phrase, "Give me liberty or give me death." Both of them are worried that the Constitution as written will not allow the states to have their own militias, militias which were critical to hunting down escaped slaves and putting down potential slave rebellions. Both suggested that the Constitution might undermine the ability of states to preserve their systems of slavery. Patrick Henry said in these debates, quote, "Slavery is detested. The majority of Congress is to the north and the slaves are to the south." Keep in mind that at that time, the majority of the population in Virginia were enslaved people. Virginia did end up ratifying, but just a few months later, Madison's running for Congress, and his opponent criticized him for having no Bill of Rights in the Constitution. So Madison put one in that included one of the requests made by the Virginia advocates, which gave the state the right to arm their militias if the federal government did not, i.e. the Second Amendment. Now, I'm not suggesting the Second Amendment had nothing to do with freedom from tyranny, but what I am suggesting is that trying to imbue gun ownership as some sacred decree handed down from the Founding Fathers for the noblest of reasons is either misinformed or misleading. The Second Amendment, like most amendments, and like the Constitution itself, was born out of the political compromises and circumstances of its time. And the reality of that time was that blacks were enslaved, women and BIPOCs had no legal rights. The failure to enact gun control and gun safety laws in our country today has created slaughter of a kind that is horribly, uniquely American. The remedy for this is we must strip away the false idolatry of the Second Amendment. Our Constitution is a living document and should be understood that way and interpreted to help us live, not die. We owe that much to each and every one of the children that has been murdered in school shootings, and to each and every one of their family members who have to carry on each day so bravely without them.